Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mustafa Ahmed, and today we have a very special video. It's been a while since I'm gonna try to do something really special for you guys and try to answer something that's on a lot of people's minds. And it's a question I got asked, and I want to be able to answer it in the best way possible. So the question was, why are most corrupt individuals some of the richest and most powerful people, while some of the most religious and the weakest, the poorest? Right. So why does Allah, the most just, the most merciful, create a system where the people who are in power are the sufaha, the people of ignorance, the people of corruption and destruction? Why not the people of knowledge, the people of religious piety attain that the status of this life, right? And because in reality, human nature, humans are more drawn to people of power, whether they're for good or bad. As long as you have power, then most of the people will follow the masses, right? Just because you obviously it's very hard to retain that power, it's very hard to retain all that wealth, right? And it's a false conception of, since if people say, oh, I have all these blessings, all I have a house, I have all these riches and fame and all these things, so God must really love me, right? Because I have all these things, right? In reality, that's not the truth. That's not exactly how Allah really measures exactly how He loves somebody, just because He gives them so much things. If anything, sometimes it's lack of love when He gives them so much. So the way I want to answer is, think of life as a double-edged sword, right? So anything in life could be used for good or evil, right? It really depends on the person wielding the sword. For example, let's say the sword is knowledge, and knowledge can progress humanity in such a way that it can make everything better and everything easier. It can make vast improvements in people's lives, right? And make every complicated task that much easier. However, depending on what you do with that knowledge, really determines whether you use it for good or evil, right? So we have the person, for example, like Albert Einstein, a genius. He had a lot of knowledge. He used his knowledge a lot for good. He came up with a lot of theories. However, also he created the atomic bomb, right? And he was one of the people, one of the founders of creating that nuclear atomic bomb. And he really regretted taking that action. But you could see how something so good could be used for betterment of humanity or destruction of humanity. So, with that, take another example. Um, let's take power, right? A lot of power we had, especially in the Quran, we have stories of kings that use their power for good. We have Dhul Qarnayn, we have Sulaiman alayhi salam, we have Dawood alayhi salam. These are examples of kings that are very pious, that use their power to create justice on earth. Versus you have people like Pharaoh, you have people like Nimrud, and so many, the list goes so on, so many of people who use their power to oppress and eventually call themselves God because they had so much authority, so much power, that they thought they can do anything in the world. So it really comes down to holding the power. Um, then there was a follow up question. The follow up question was, okay, if we're supposed to forego the pleasures of this life for the hereafter, for the next life, then people who don't already have those pleasures, are they really, since they don't have it, are they really giving up anything anyways to get something better in the next life? Versus somebody who has everything, why would he give up this life or this world for a world he doesn't know, a world he doesn't see? And the way I answered this question was very simply, in human nature, right? We always want the easy stuff. Our desires want the stuff that's easy, that's not hard, right? We don't want to put in the work. We want always the easy route. However, we know those who take the easy route usually end up suffering in the long run, right? So, for example, let's say there's a cake, right? But I know I can't eat that cake because I have to run a marathon, right? I need to work on my marathon. I need to work on my fitness, right? But if I take the temptation right now and I eat the sweets right now, I won't be able to perform that marathon in the long run. Same way, if let's say I have a test to study for, to let's say you try to be a doctor or something, or an engineer, or something that takes years of your life, you have to forego the beginning parts of your life, your 20s, maybe not hanging out with your friends, missing out parties, missing on, let's say, birthday parties or camping trips, anything, right? Because you got to sit down and study and put in hours to master your craft in the beginning, knowing very well that you're going to be in a better position in the future, right? Because you took the hard path in the beginning. right? And there's a lot of people who take the easy path, but they end up suffering in the beginning. They end up working more into their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they can't retire because they use their whole youth not doing something productive. So the reality is, in this life, you still have to be a stoic, right? To receive anything good. Now, if you have everything already in this life, you still know that it's going to come to an end. You know you're going to die. You know that there has to be a creator. You have to ask those questions. Why am I here? What is the point of this life? Is this life a test, right? Like, what are the necessary steps that I need to make or take to attain the pleasure of my creator that created me, right? Because if you came to understanding, okay, look, I didn't create myself. There is a creator, right? Now the next logical point would be, okay, what does the creator want me to do, right? How does he want me to live? And that goes back to the scriptures. You find out, okay, now I know that there is only one creator, right? It has to be, because it can't be the sand, it can't be the sun, it can't be the stars. All of these can't be my creator. It has to be one creator who created me, right? Now, when you find out who that one creator is, what does that one creator want me to do, right? And he wants me to worship him, but how? How exactly does he want me to worship him? Because we ultimately know that creator created us without needing anything from us. There's no need. He doesn't. We don't feed him. We don't sustain him. He sustains us. When he feeds us, he takes care of us, right? So what is our job to do for our creator? And the reality is, it's only for ourselves, only for the betterment of ourselves, to find out the truth. Why am I here on earth? What is the purpose, right? And then he tells us that there is the stuff that you need to forgo for this pleasure, this world, but you'll get it in hereafter. And still, even though you forgo in this world, you still, there's a halal and haram. There's a right way and a wrong way to do certain things. By doing the right things that he told us, for example, you can have a girlfriend on the side, or you can have a wife, right? You can drink wine, something that's going to destroy your body, or you could drink water, right? You could do the right things in the proper portions, right, that he wants you to take, right? And by doing that, you're going to get your and then you end up getting closer to him, right? You end up following him. You end up earning his pleasure, earning his obedience, right? Because you follow the commandments he sets forth. So once you do that, then you realize, right? Like, hey, I need to forego this worldly pleasure for something better. And that's not giving up everything in this world, right? That's just giving up certain things that are forbidden, certain things are prohibited, right? Because you know that the creator said it's prohibited. You don't question why, right? That I can't do certain things. Why I can't eat pork, right? Why can't I have wine, right? The creator says it's not good, it's not healthy. There's 100 reasons why, but once the creator said don't do it, that's why you stay away from it. Why can I fornicate, right? Why can I not do all these things? Why can I not kill, right? Why can I not steal, right? These things that are red lines that we don't do, right? You can give all the reasons why not to do it, right? And it destroys society and all this stuff, and that's great. However, you ultimately have to do it because the creator said not to do it. He's the one who created you, and he established those rules and regulations. And then the day, if you leave humanity, human beings, to regulate themselves, everybody comes up with different rules, right? It's not our rules; it's the creator's rules. Therefore, ultimately, once you pass the test, you ultimately attain God's pleasure, and you ultimately end up in a better destination, right? In the end of the day, you realize, okay, if there is a creator, there's a God, right? I have to be able to please him in some type of way. I have to follow his rules and regulations in some type of way. Because if I don't, there is no other alternative, right? There is no other alternative. The one who created you is the one setting up the rules and parameters for the test, right? So you got to follow the rules and regulations to pass that test, right? And ultimately, there's one person making that test, right? Not person. I'm sorry. There's one creator making that test. Um. So with that being said, for for people who understand that the truth is Islam, and they are Muslims, what is it in our life that what trials and tribulations that we're going to face in our life that we need to pass, right? What is our test? Um, and this comes to a very special man named Muhammad Qasim bin Abdul Karim, and he's having these true dreams that he's having. Um, I'm going to put a link in the description to describe more, but it is pretty much a lot of end time stuff that it might definitely happen in our generation. So it is important that people who want to pay attention to the truth and want to like see what's going on, look into what Muhammad Qasim bin Abdul Karim saying, and a lot of it's coming true. A day and day, every day, something's coming true, and we're getting closer to certain calamities, certain trials and tribulations. And if you're not part of a good group and good environment, then you leave yourself open and exposed, right, to those trials and tribulations alone. And it's hard to pass any test alone. You need that group, you need that guidance, you need that help, right? And especially if Allah's helping somebody, right, from our ummah, then it is obligatory that we stay close to that person, right? Because that is that direct help from Allah. So with that, I say Allahu Alam and wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If I made any mistakes, it's from me. And if I did anything right, then inshallah, may Allah reward me. So please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I'll continue making these videos. We talk about end time stuff. We talk about guidance. We talk about how to get closer to Allah. We talk about how to become a better person. And with that, I will say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.